So I'm going to tell you a story. And ultimately, the moral of the story is going to be about meaning comes from sacrifice. That's it. So the story comes from my personal relationship right now. A few weeks ago, there wasn't enough meaning. It was actually quite challenging. The relationship started losing a little bit of passion, a little bit of satisfaction, and it just didn't really feel like it was all that amazing. And in these types of situations, what I do is I expend effort. I try to go above and beyond and really give it my all. And so when I was challenged with this feeling of kind of not lackadaisical, but just like it was kind of like the feeling of bleh in my in my intimate relationship, and so what I decided to do was to make something. And the first time that I made something, it didn't really go that well because I hadn't thought about the other person. It was kind of selfish, actually. I was thinking more about me and the joy that I was putting into the thing that I created. And so the second time that I tried to do this, I really focused on her and what she was experiencing, what she was feeling, things that were going on in her life. And I really wanted to create something that was meaningful to her and that really symbolized something that was really special. So it's very hard for me to do these types of things. So I spend a lot of time thinking, about the things going on in her life, the challenges that she's been facing, the victories that she has achieved, the struggles that she's overcome. And what I realized was there was a situation a couple months back where she had this bird, and it was a very special bird. I mean, it was like the bird wasn't even supposed to be able to talk, and she taught this bird how to talk. It was the most loving and carefree, and it was just a badass bird. And situations changed, things happened, life happened, and this bird, she had to get rid of this bird. It was a very emotional experience, and it kind of, it was tough for her. And so I started thinking about, how to derive more meaning in our relationship, how to build more satisfaction, how to show her that I'm passionate about this relationship. And so what I did is I thought about, okay, what I can do is I can find maybe a picture, or I can create something that symbolizes Omi. That was her bird's name. And so there was this whole thinking process, right? Thinking about, how am I going to represent this bird? Is it going to be a painting? Is it going to be a collage? Am I going to draw it? And what I settled on was I want to do a painting. And I want to do a painting because I don't really know how to paint. I don't know what goes into that. I just know that the creative muscle is one that can be strengthened no matter what type of creativity you're doing. No matter what you're creating, there's an underlying muscle that is strengthened whenever we create things. And so I was like, okay. So I decided to paint a picture of her bird Omi, and uh, and yeah, so I decided to paint this picture. So the first step of the painting of the picture uh, was really, I mean, first of all, this whole challenge, the whole thing was a struggle. I mean, each step in the process was another step that I literally did not know how to do. I do not have a history of being able to draw very well. And so when I was sketching out, the scene, what I wanted was in the bathroom, on top of the shower curtain, was this bird, right? And the bird was going to be, so Omi really liked, I don't know why, but he always liked to eat the top of the shower curtain and just ripped it up. And so I wanted the bird to be in the bathroom on top of the shower curtain with the shower curtain pulled to, and it's all kind of frayed and just knotted and totally destroyed. And in the background, there was going to be the tile of the bathroom, and I really wanted to show off the beauty of this bird. The bird is a black-capped conure, and one of the things about it is that on its neck, it has these really intricate black and white feathers, this forest green body, and just a very beautiful looking bird. And so I went out to start sketching this bird. And I soon realized I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Literally, I have no idea. I was drawing this bird, and I was like, man, I don't, I don't even know what this bird looks like, you know? And so I went on Instagram to find, because when this bird was given away, we took her to a very famous bird sanctuary. You know, this woman has this Instagram and she posts a lot about it. And so, uh, I went, I kind of sneakily went onto her Instagram and I found this person that she follows. And then I started looking at him and I found some pictures of Omi, took a bunch of screenshots, and this was kind of like my research phase. And what I realized in this research and sketching phase, when I was kind of laying out the scenery or the scene, was that I don't really know what a bird is. Like, if you trace something, I didn't really want to trace it. And so I wanted to create something that really symbolized something that was cool and valuable. And one of the things I realized was that as I was drawing this bird, I noticed that there's really no such thing as a bird. Like, eh, just bear with me for a second. So a bird is a number of different kind of systems that all work together that in our minds we call a bird. So there is a skeletal structure, there's the skin, there are the muscles, there are the feathers, there's the beak, there's the way that different parts of the body. So for example, on the conyour's neck, the neck feathers are very prominent, and the neck feathers overlap onto the body feathers, and the wing feathers all go kind of in the same direction. Where this is totally not the case on his head. On his head, a lot of the feathers kind of come around the eye, and it was such a challenge to draw and sketch a picture of this bird that looked familiar because I didn't even know what a bird was. And so there was this whole process of researching what a bird is and what a conure is and understanding the way that the feathers overlap. And it was a whole project in and of itself, just understanding the biology of this bird, you know? And so that was the research phase and the design phase. So we've kind of gotten basically where we were is there was this thinking part, there was the sketching part, then there was the realization, oh shit, I don't know what I'm doing. Then there was this heavy research phase. And then after that, there was this epiphany, this understanding that I came to where it was like, whoa, there's really no such thing. If you want to create something of value, you can't just copy a picture off the internet. What you have to do is sort of understand the components that make something up, and you have to make those things as authentically as possible. And if all of the little pieces of something are authentic and they represent the thing in real life, then when you put those things together, that thing will then be recognizable as a real and authentic thing. In this case, it was a bird. It was understanding the feathers, the way that the beak looked, the way that the eye feathers were, the way that the neck feathers kind of overlaid, and the conflict between the neck feathers and the way that the wing feathers interlaced, on the bird's shoulder. And the reason that this was important was because I wanted to paint a unique picture. Not a picture that was a direct copy of something, but a picture that was a picture of this bird on the shower curtain hanging out with the frayed thing. And so once I had a really good understanding of that, then I got into the line work. So what I did was I took a picture of what I imagine was a magnet or something of a black-capped conure, and I blew it up on the iPad, and I put a piece of paper over it and sketched out the structure of the bird with particularly the feathers on the neck. I wanted them to look really good. And then I took that and I took that line work. I did it in, I think the first one I did it in Sharpie, or pencil or what, it doesn't really matter. So I took that one and then I overlaid that over on top of the canvas. And then I took a Sharpie and I used a Sharpie so that it would bleed onto the canvas. and I traced over this image, you know, several times, and I had so then I when I removed that the picture, I had an extremely faint, almost kind of guide on the canvas. And then from there, it went into painting. So I took several trips to, you know, Ross or Hobby Lobby rather, and I got these paints, and I started painting. You know, I painted the shower curtain, and then I painted, um, then I started painting Omi, and quickly the drawing that I'd done on the canvas was quickly covered up by the paints, and it was a very tough challenge to interlace the different colors. You know, there was different greens, there was different grays, there was different colors of white, there was different, you know, all these different colors I had no experience with. And so basically what I did is I just decided to have fun with it. And so there was really no such thing as making a mistake. I was like, you know what? We're just gonna try it out. We're here to for some passion and for some meaning, and I'm making this for her. And so I'm just gonna take my time and I'm just gonna have fun with it. And so I got the bird done and I got the shower curtain done and I got the tile done and it was really fun, really enjoyable just mixing arbitrary colors together, some whites and some grays and some silvers and uh, I learned how to make the color blue, you know, and I threw I put everything that I had onto the canvas, and at the end of the day, I mean, this is like a 3 week process, and at the end of that whole process, I was extremely proud of what I had done. The bird wasn't really that recognizable to me, but it was extremely. It looked really good. It looked awesome. There was a lot of texture to it, and the shower curtain looked great, and everything was just so like it looked like something you would buy off of Etsy or one of these sites where you would contract it out. I mean, this was a legitimate. It looked awesome. And the moral of that story is that this painting I'm an amateur, right? I'm not some, you know, pillar on a hill. I don't really know how to paint something super well. And so what I imagined was this painting doesn't really have a lot of value except for the person for whom it was made, right? And this is kind of one of the things I wanted to get to is that meaning and value only come from sacrifice. One of the things I wanted to do in my relationship is show Stephanie that, or show my girlfriend that I care about this relationship. This relationship means a lot to me, and I wanna show some passion and bring some and really show passion because ultimately a relationship should be satisfying. And so I wanted to put a lot of time and energy into something that really symbolized something bigger than just me. You know, it symbolized all of this work. And this is very interesting because it kind of takes me over to something like Bitcoin, where the Bitcoin itself doesn't have any value, but part of the reason that it does have at least some value is because energy was expensed in the creation of the thing. And there's also a story behind it. And that's what this painting represented to me. Is that the painting, while not being a perfect example of of a bird, you know, what it did represent was the thinking and the design, the iterating, the research, the line work, the painting, the patience that went into, you know, this piece of art, it was like a big metaphor for what the relationship meant to me. And at the end of the day, value comes from sacrifice. That's what this whole project taught me is that if you want something of value, you have to give up something of yourself. You have to give a part of yourself. And if you want to create something of real value, then you have to give it your all. You have to give everything. And yeah, so the moral of the story is that if you want to get, you must give.